Hey guys, welcome to episode 35. Before we hop on the server, I'd kind of like to talk about something I keep seeing come up on the Minecraft suggestions subreddit. It's mainly about people suggesting that Mojang add the rest of the types of stone as walls in Minecraft. By walls, of course, I'm referring to cobblestone wall and mossy cobblestone wall, and not the paneling that people seem to be confusing it with that you see in Feed the Beast. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you by manipulating the texture pack what the other things might look like. I'm also going to talk about my original idea as to why they hadn't necessarily already done this and how it would actually not be as simple as you might think to make this change. Now, first of all, if you are obsessive compulsive, you may not want to watch this video because I'm going to expose something which in all honesty is probably a bug, but it could sort of ruin your experience in playing Minecraft for a while until it gets fixed, so you've been warned. Second of all, I'd like to state that I am fully supportive of this idea. I definitely would like to see it happen. Please don't think that I'm saying I don't like this and wouldn't want to see it, as a lot of people on Reddit seem to be thinking my point is, but I'm definitely on board with this. I think I speak for everyone who plays this game when I say that when they first added the cobblestone and mossy cobblestone walls to the game, we were all thinking, oh great, when can we see the rest of them? How come they haven't been implemented yet? So first of all, let me kind of start off by saying that right here I've sort of I've sectioned off using sandstone. I've sectioned off the problem area to kind of illustrate the point. Now you'll see here, you can see the hitbox or the bounding box around this area. You can see that the 4 pixels, 1, 2, 3, 4, that make up this portion of the wall are actually repeats of the 4 pixels that are right here. So you can see dark gray, light gray, medium gray, dark gray, light gray, medium gray. This goes for this whole column. It's pretty obvious. To make it painfully clear, I'm going to place a cobblestone wall here and then break it, and you will see these 4 pixels here and this whole column are going to shift. Pretty easy to see. I'm going to do it for this side too, for the sake of being thorough. Now that was my original reasoning for why this wouldn't necessarily work. But I got thinking about how Minecraft has some directional issues. Right now we are facing west. The walls are going from north to south, and I realized when you look at it on this side, it does not suffer the same problem. So anyway, that was my original idea of why they hadn't necessarily added it yet, because when you start using things with a more familiar texture, such as brick, it becomes painfully obvious. So I'm going to go ahead and switch texture packs. By the way, real quick, I also changed in these texture packs, I changed the wood to be the same material as what I'm changing the walls to be, so that you can see how they might also look if they were ever to add them. Alright, so let's get started. Also, I'm in 13W07A. Which is one of the 1.5 snapshots. So the texture packs are using the new texture pack system. And if you don't already know, the way you get the texture packs now is in, you don't have to go to the main menu. You just go to Escape, Options, Texture Packs. All right, so let's go ahead and start with brick. That should be a really clean indicator. Yeah, so here you can see that problem really well. And I'm going to go ahead and illustrate it again. You see it shifting. You can definitely see it shifting there. Now, another little problem that this has, and this is just me nitpicking, it's really not a huge issue. In fact, let's look at this way, just so you can see that you don't actually run into that problem going this way. Although, all the textures run into this problem. If you get far enough away when you look at it when it's not glitched up like that, it looks as though it becomes like a single texture there. It doesn't, you don't see that break in it anymore, which is actually what I had thought before doing these tests. I had thought that's what their intention was, is that it breaks up the texture enough that it's not as noticeable. But apparently that's not the case, so I don't know what to tell you. Also, when you look at it this way, you can see the grain of the bricks going this way as opposed to this way. So that this would be more correct, even though it's not very correct. But that just kind of gives you a hint as to what I'm sort of talking about, what we're dealing with. Sort of one of the reasons why, they haven't necessarily added this in yet. And obviously you can see here how they connect, but that's beside the point. Over here, you can see how it would look as a fence, and because the mortar is such a different color, it honestly does not make a very good fence, comparing it to how, let's say, nether brick fences look. You can ignore this. This is for another test. The ender chest over here. Maybe I'll talk about that later. Anyway, so here you can see, because the mortar is different, the color isn't necessarily as off. It's not. Oh, I actually can put that right there. Come to think of it, it doesn't look as weird. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on. Just fair warning, I'm doing a lot of different blocks as a test to sort of show you what they'd look like, even though some of them you might not ever think of reasons to use them, such as netherrack. Honestly, I can't think of a reason to use this, but you never know. You don't often think of them right away, but I'm sure someday you could find a use for it. Anyway, so that's how netherrack would look, and I'm going to go ahead and just build it this way so we're not looking at the glitched version. And I'm going to go ahead and remember that stone connects, but we're going to go ahead and just do it this way so it's a little bit easier to see. And I'm going to do this too, just to make it easier to see. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch to nether brick so we don't skip it. And here you can see it's actually not that bad. And you'll notice a difference in the way that the nether brick works, where the bricks down here are like 1 wide. They're not. They don't behave just like. They don't behave like the red brick does, as you can see. Anyway, so now I'm going to move on to what do we have next? Obsidian. Yeah, this would be cool. Be an interesting system. Honestly, and for a lot of these, just so you know, this is my first time attempting it. I hadn't actually tested all these yet. Not as cool as I would have thought, but again, you could probably find a cool use for it once you start using it in game. Let's go ahead and look at what's next. Sandstone. Sandstone's one of the ones that I noticed right away looked weird when going this way, because the texture repeat glitch or whatever's going on here. But I always thought it would be cool to have sandstone fences, because it kind of, first of all, it's like the light equivalent of nether brick, and I thought it would be really cool if they implemented this into the desert temples, but unfortunately they never did. So alright, so let's go ahead and move on. Oops, texture packs. Let's skip stone for now. Let's go to stone brick. Alright, so stone brick, I think we can all agree, is the one most people would like to see. And ironically, it doesn't look so bad even with the glitch, except that the top looks weird, and this right here just looks so strange the way it does that. And I mean, the fences just look horrible, in my opinion. But I know that this is what a lot of people want to see, and only problem I have with it really is that when you look at it from a distance, it looks like that one brick on either side has a chunk ripped out of it. But that's just personal opinion. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to, is there anything underneath here? No. All right, let's go ahead and do stone. And this one would be pretty cool, I think, in both regards. However, I don't really expect Mojang to add this, simply due to the fact that anything you make with stone would probably look like this, and this is definitely not going to look right as a fence if you were to just take that texture. Even if you were to just take this texture, it would not work, in my opinion. Anyway, so from there, let's go ahead, and the last thing I wanted to test, because I thought it would probably look pretty cool, is if you were to use wood as a wall as opposed to just a fence. And sure enough, that looks pretty darn cool, in my opinion. This doesn't look as cool because of the way it changes direction, but you know, it's not bad. It really isn't, and it would be really cool, I think, to have something like that. It would be pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm certainly glad I tested it out because I learned a lot and possibly even exposed a bug that's been going on. By the way, like I said, the bug, it doesn't exist this way, but if you look at it on this side, it is there. And also there's this weird dark side happening, but that actually looks better, in my opinion, because it breaks off. Like when you look at it from a distance, you can clearly tell, even though it's probably way too stark, you can clearly tell that there's a difference in the separation there. Same goes for, nope, I guess it doesn't work on this side. It's only this guy. I don't know why. Seems to be happening only in this direction. See, because it's happening here as well, which is weird. And potentially, I wonder if, yep, still happens. All right, well, that's about it. I just want to show you guys that before I hopped on the server and continued the episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed. All right, guys. So in the last episode, I was talking about how to make these diagonal angled shops and how I wanted to know, I was trying to figure out a way to set them up. So I kind of figured it out a little bit, or at least I've got a rough draft in here where it adds an extra one to, because basically my base is in the north, Alamantis is in the, what is that, east, T. Calhoun is in the south, and Arstong is in the west. So for people like Inverted Shadow, who's in the southwest, and Jake Woodruff, who's in the southeast over here, and Pecos, who's in the northeast, it's a little bit more difficult to sort of carve out these shop stalls. So what I've done is I've created an extra shop here, one for me here, you can see, and a little bit of a templated one over here for Alamantis. And these are actually more efficient in that in the diagonal, well, like for instance, I based my shopping stuff, and by the way, you guys are welcome to do whatever you want in your shops. I don't care, as long as there's enough room for us to walk around here. You guys can do whatever you want in the shops, but I'm just sort of setting this up as a template on the off chance Alamantis wants to continue my sort of theme or style in his shopping area as well. That's just merely what this is for. Anyway, what was I saying? So the idea is that when it's diagonal like this, you actually get more advertising space because, and I built mine based on the idea that we have 12 records in the game. So that's actually where this whole sort of setup came from. And if you use an item frame on a diagonal, I could actually get 6 records here and 6 records here and have all of them in just that area. But I've also got the ability to put more here. And, I haven't tested it out yet. It might look a little bit weird that way, although it should be enough that you'd actually be able to advertise with it. I don't know. Who knows? Just, and by advertise, obviously, I mean showing off what you sell in the store. Personally, I think it's better to have the extra room to be able to have shops that sell different things instead of just selling everything you want to sell in one single store. Anyway, but I guess the bottom line is if they ever add more records, I could move the record shop from here over here and be okay. Anyway, so that's basically all I want to talk about in regards to the developments on the Nether Hub. And I'm going to go ahead and switch back into another texture pack. Be warned, these are going to change when I do. Let's see, texture pack. Let's just do brick. And I'll talk a little bit about that nether chest idea. All right, so I'm going to use, for those of you who don't already know, this bow that I'm using has Silk Touch on it from that one snapshot where you could do that with the anvils. Let's go ahead and eat this real quick. Now, the texture that's on here, and I just noticed this while I was recording the last one, that the nether chest, the last part, I should say, the nether chest texture I made was still on here. So the idea is that back when ender chests were first added to the game, they behaved a little bit differently than they do now, in that on a server they weren't player specific. So, like, let's say, Alamantis is working on his tunnel system up there where he needs a lot of cobblestone. Well, so let's just say that Alamantis was on the server and I was also on the server, and I was texting, chatting with him, asking him if he needed any cobblestone, to which he would reply yes, and then I would go over to our nether chest, which would not be player specific, so all server users would be able to access it. By the way, the reason this one didn't open, obviously, is because there's a solid block above it. Anyway, so I would go over here and I would put cobblestone in here, and then he'd open up his nether chest and he'd grab the cobblestone out, and that's how it would operate. Now, the way you would craft a nether chest is by going to a crafting bench or a crafting table, or whatever they are called, and you would put obsidian all around it, just like you would an ender chest, but in the middle, instead of using an ender eye, you would use a nether star. And personally, I think this is a pretty darn good idea. I came up with it immediately after they switched it to be player specific. And the other thing it could be useful for is the new team feature that they have with, I thought map makers and everything could make some really cool games where they would be team specific at times. So if you were to make, let's say, like the red team versus the blue team, then everybody on the red team would be able to have a combined shared chest as well as everybody on the blue team, and it could just make for some unique, dynamic matches of whatever you're playing. It'd just be really cool. Anyway, so that's basically it. I just wanted to kind of show you guys that. Obviously, it would be much harder to make a nether chest because of the fact that the nether star is not nearly as easy to obtain as the ender eye. But that's basically it. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you have learned something today about the way the textures work, and I hope somebody reports that bug. I'll probably look for it, at least on the bug reporter, and if I find it, I will put the link to that bug in the description in case you guys want to see that bug fixed on the wall system soon. Wow, that's how that is how this would look with brick pressure plates. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time on episode 36. All right, take it easy.